Welcome to Pet Rate, a series where I challenge every boss in RuneScape in a bid to obtain their elusive pet drop. However, there is a slight twist. I can only fight them until I reach the rate of the pet drop with thresholds included in that rate. If I win, I get to keep all the money I made during my grind. But if I fail, I have to give half of the money to one of you. Will I obtain every pet drop in the game? Will my luck hold out for all these challenges? Let's find out. Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of my new Pet Rate Challenge. Now, for those of you who may watch old school content like I do, you'll recognize that this is very similar to a Lonescapes on Drop Rate series. This is because I took inspiration from his series to make this one. And before I even started working on the content, I did reach out to him and I did ask him if he was okay with me doing this, and he gave me the go-ahead. So today we'll be taking on the Arch-Glacor, and with a pet rate of 1 in 1,000 and a threshold of 500 in hard mode, that means I need to reach a total kill count of 750 to be on rate for the pet drop. However, as you can see, I already have 174 kills at the Arch-Glacor in hard mode, which means I only have 576 kills left before I hit the rate and lose the challenge. Here we see my first kill back at the Arch-Glacor in probably about a year and a half. I did grind out a good bit of it at the very beginning when it was released, but I stopped doing that whenever I found out that the drop rate was messed up and people either weren't getting what they should have gotten or literally could not get. I don't remember since it was so long ago, but I know that it really frustrated me to the point that I didn't even want to do the Arch-Glacor anymore until they fixed it. But as you'll see here, I sped up the kill just so that you wouldn't have to sit through an hour-long video of me struggling to kill a boss that should have only taken like a minute and a half with the gear that I had at this point in time. But I was learning the boss again after so long, and I was also learning it with a brand new style. I did all of those kills at the beginning with ranged, and that's kind of the style that I stuck with for most of my time on RuneScape. But learning it with a new style, brand new style, and relearning it all at the same time leads to a lot of challenges I don't think I was ready for at the very beginning. And as you can see here, I actually do almost die a couple of times, which is really embarrassing to show, but we do thankfully get through it. We do get the kill at the very end, although we did have some close calls that should never have happened. I will be thankful with the fact that I did have a lot of stuff come back to me during this kill. A lot of stuff did seem to start to flow a little bit more naturally, although I was still struggling with certain mechanics that I seem to always struggle with. You'll see the one that takes me out the most during this grind later on in the video. But whenever we get to the end of this kill that we're coming up on, you'll see that there is loot in the chest. I didn't realize that I still had loot that I never claimed. I don't know if it was because I was planning on coming back to the boss, or more than likely I just sort of forgot that it was even there. But either way, I'm going to leave that as part of the loot that will be sold off at the end of the video for potential giveaway if I do lose the challenge. It's not a lot, but it is a great start, seeing as the Arch-Glacor is notorious for going super dry at. Unfortunately, here soon after, I do end up dying due to a disconnect. And I don't know if it was on my part or if it was on Jagex's part, but either way, we do die before we even get really started on the first streak. And it only adds about 1 million to the potential giveaway. But when that stuff happens, you just have to keep going. You can't let it get to you and keep you from grinding out and trying to reach your goals. Here we see my first real death that was not due to a disconnect this time. Unfortunately, it was more so due to a player mistake and user error. But one thing that I always struggle with the Arch-Glacor is dealing with the pillars mechanic. And here we see in full display how badly I dealt with it this time. So I should have dove away from the pillar once I got to that front corner. But instead, I just decided to manually walk around And here I decided to get greedy with my damage instead of trying to avoid them, and it ended up costing me my streak. And really, this death shows that you can't get greedy at the Arch-Glacor. You just have to deal with the mechanics as they come. And at the end of it all, whenever you do die this early into a streak and with this little enrage, it just shows how little you can make from it. So the important thing is that I need to really start worrying more about the mechanics and more about living as long as I can and dealing damage when I can instead of being greedy like this. Let's take a break for a second from watching me die to the Arch-Glacor to look at a really easy way to deal with one of the more annoying mechanics at the Arch-Glacor. Now, it's not the pillars, unfortunately. I didn't learn how to deal with it and keep myself from either dying or almost dying to it until probably the very end of my grind. But afterwards, we'll see the cannon mechanic, which is super easy as long as you have devotion up and ready to go. But after we face the cannon, we have to deal with the minions. And after the pillars, they used to be the most annoying part of this fight to me. Not because they were incredibly difficult, it just took me so long to kill them. However, with necromancy, I found that if you use a Threads of Fate into a soul sap and then to a volley, it instantly clears them. And really, once I learned how to do this, it made them so easy to deal with that the only time I ever struggled was whenever he would send them out back to back. So as you'll see here real quick, Threads of Fate into a soul sap, instantly readies up the volley, and all four down at once, letting me go right back to the boss. Unfortunately, we have yet another embarrassing death at the Arch-Glacor. This one, as some of you may have already guessed, is caused once again by the pillars mechanic. At this point, I'm still trying to figure out how to best deal with the mechanic, and as you'll see, I do it completely wrong in this kill. So as it starts, I decide to continue to walk it. I do surge away from it, but instead of surging again, I decide to walk down the middle of the bridge, and as the two that are close to me surround me, I try to slip between them, and it doesn't really pan out the way that I had hoped it would, which, as you can tell, leads to me losing my streak and having to claim the little bit of loot that's left in the chest. Unfortunately, at such a low enrage and such a short kill streak, the only thing that's in there is going to be about 22 million worth of loot, and that's before the price drops, which ultimately leads to about 55 million in total loot by this point of the grind. They say things get better as you continue on, but I'm pretty sure in this next kill I kind of missed that memo. Now, this death was the most heartbreaking one I've had up until this point because it was the highest I'd ever streaked at the Arch-Glacor. After dealing with a back-to-back cannon mechanic, I was feeling good. I felt like I could do this and that I could even reach 1,000%. And that's when my old friend, the Pillars, decided to come back and pay me a visit. I still wasn't handling it right, much to my own frustration, and at this point, probably yours as well. And as you'll see, my clicks seem to not want to register, and I'm not sure if that was due to me lagging or if by clicking accidentally outside of the bridge, it didn't want to fulfill the action. You can tell me in the comments whichever it is. Thankfully, since it was a long streak though, we have our first ever halfway respectable loot at about 62 million. While that last clip was the most heartbreaking death, this one was by far the most frustrating. The only thing that happened here was that I got ahead of myself. As the cannon gets ready to fire, I do devotion, but as you can notice, there's one crucial thing missing: protect from magic. I didn't even notice it until after it was too late and I'd already died. As I respawned in Prifdinus, I realized I'd have to collect yet another mediocre chest, coming in at only 34 million gold, not really adding much to the overall loot. However, just 5 kills later from that frustrating death, something insane would happen. Whoa. Don't click off the video just yet. Now, I did win the challenge, but because this is the first video of this series, I will still be doing a giveaway at the end of the video. Now, we've been putting in a lot of hours and a lot of time grinding out the Arch-Glacor this week. I think it's time we run it back one more time. I'm going to start at 0% enrage and streak until I die again. And after I've died, I will sell all the loot and give a portion of it away to one of you. During this last streak, I think we showed a lot of improvement. We finally learned how to deal with the pillars mechanic to the point that it actually isn't what killed me. As you see here, I unfortunately missed a prayer flick, and in doing so, it caused me to sign. So when the cannon mechanic came out, I didn't have enough adrenaline, and unfortunately I panicked and forgot about my adrenaline potion, causing me not to be able to devotion and ultimately die to it. Even though it's frustrating, and we had just beat our old record, I do consider this a win, and I do think that it shows that I'm getting just that much better at PVMing. As I had stated previously, this would be the last streak of the challenge. Now, at the end of it all, we did end up gaining another 78.3 million gold to add to the total loot. So, how much money did we actually make? Well, let's grab out all of the loot that we collected from the Arch-Glacor, at least all that's tradable, that is, and see just how much it all sells for on the Grand Exchange. You see that we've collected a pretty sizable quantity of all the normal drops that the Arch-Glacor will give you over the course of a long streak. And I almost forget to grab that onyx there at the end. But let's begin to sell all this off. Typically, with this much stuff, I try to slow sell it. However, with it being part of the challenge and me wanting to do a giveaway, I unfortunately had to go ahead and insta-sell it, probably losing me a good bit of money in the process, but that's okay. I'm really not one to need billions on billions of gold in the game. It does allow for, better gear to do different bosses, but I still enjoy the trial and the struggle of learning how to do a boss with less than optimal gear. Now, as we sell this stuff off, you'll see that some stuff does actually end up selling instantly, much to my surprise. The biggest ones being the Bainite Stone Spirit, and here in just a second you'll see that the Spirit Weed Seeds actually do sell, which I am honestly shocked over. The things that are worth alking are not a big surprise. They always sell at their listed price just because people can always make money off of them. But here we are getting down to the final bit of it, selling off the Crushed Nest and the Onyx. Now, we did have a couple of extra Crushed Nest and a couple of other items that I forgot to sell before the challenge, but that just adds to the overall loot potential. Now that the loot's been sold off, we can see that we made a total of 227.4 million gold just off the commons that we received from the Arch-Glacor during our week grind for the pet. So out of the 227 million gold that we earned, I will be giving away a total of 100 million gold to one of you lucky viewers. If you want a chance to win the 100 million gold, all you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below telling me which RuneScape boss you want to see me grind out next, and also your RuneScape name, and then join the Discord channel in the link description so that I have a way to get in contact with you. Thank you all for watching, and I really hope to see you all back here again for our next pet rate grind.